Hello guys, welcome to the channel RecentJobs. Today we are going to see some of the major JavaScript interview basic questions. The first one is, what is JavaScript? Basically, JavaScript is a high-level interpreted programming language. It's commonly used to create interactive effects within the web browsers. It's a key technology of the World Wide Web alongside the HTML and also CSS. In JavaScript, we have primitive data types and also non-primitive types. For primitive types, we have string, number, boolean, null, undefined, symbol, and big int. Whereas for non-primitive, we have object. This is one of the most prominent questions for the case of interview, that is the difference between let, constant, and where. Firstly, where is a function scoped and it can be redeclared, whereas let is block scope and it cannot be redeclared, but we can update it. Whereas constant is also the block scoped, but it cannot be redeclared and we must initialize it during the declaration. It also cannot be updated. What are the JavaScript closures? A closure is a function that has an access to its own scope, along with that the scope of the outer function and also the global scope. It allows a function to access variables from an enclosing scope or environment, even after it leaves the scope in which it has been declared. Next, let us learn the difference between these two operators. This operator is actually the abstract equality operator, which compares the two values for equality after conversion the both values to a common type. Whereas this is an example of the strict equality operator. This will be comparing the two values for equality itself without performing any sort of type conversion. Both the value and the type must be same. And what is a promise in JavaScript? A promise is an object representing the eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation. Promises are having a three states. They are pending, fulfilled, and rejected. This is also one of the prominent question, that is, what is an arrow function? An arrow function is a shorter syntax for writing the functions in ES6. It doesn't have its own context. When it is also anonymous. This is the example for the constant. Add is equals to, in the function we had a comma b, the variables, arrow function a plus b. Okay, I hope it's clear for you. Next, what is the difference between null and undefined? Undefined means a variable that has been declared but not yet assigned a single value, whereas null is an assignment value that represents no value or no object. What are template literals? The template literals are string literals. It's allowing the embedded expressions. You can use multi-line strings and string interpolation features along with them. This is one of the example for the template literals. The next one is IIFE. What is this? It's nothing but immediately invoked function expression. So basically, it is a function that is executed immediately after it has been defined. It helps to create a local scope and also avoid polluting the global namespace. Event delegation. So what it means that it's basically a technique involving adding a single event listener to a parent element for the purpose of managing the events from its child elements. It utilizes event bubbling to handle the events at a higher level in the DOM tree. Next comes the concept of hoisting in the JavaScript. Hoisting is JavaScript default behavior of moving declarations, that is, variables and functions, to the top of their containing the scope during the compilation. Only the declarations are hoisted, not the initializations. What are JavaScript modules? JavaScript modules are reusable pieces of code that can be exported from one module and imported into another. ES6 is introduced with the import and export syntax to handle the modules. What is the this keyword in JavaScript? So basically, this keyword refers to the object that is executing the current function. Its value depends on the context in which it has been used, that is global or object or function, etc. Callback function. A callback function is a function that is passed into another function as an argument and is executed after some operation has been completed. The difference between call and apply function. Call function will invoke a function with a given this value and arguments provided individually, whereas in apply function it invokes a function with a given this value and arguments provided as an array. What are the higher order functions? These are the functions that can take other functions as arguments or return the functions as their result. What is event loop in JavaScript? The event loop is a mechanism that handles the execution of multiple chunks of your program over time. It also allows JavaScript to perform non-blocking operations despite being single-threaded. What is the purpose of object create? Object.create creates a new object with the specified prototype object and properties. What are default parameters in JavaScript? Default parameters allows you to initialize named parameters with default values if no value or undefined is passed. Here is an example for default parameters. Next, what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous code? Basically, synchronous code is executed sequentially, one line at a time, whereas in asynchronous code, it allows the program to continue running while waiting for an operation to complete, typically using callbacks, promises, or async or await. Reduce method in JavaScript. Basically, the reduce method executes a reducer function on each element of the array, resulting in a single output value. Here is an example for the reduce method. What is NaN in JavaScript? NaN stands for not a number and is a value representing an undefined or unrepresentable value arithmetic operations. What are JavaScript events? Events are actions or occurrences that happen in the system you are programming, which tells the system tells you about so you can understand or respond to them in some way. What is event bubbling and event capturing? Event bubbling is when an event starts at most specific element and then flows upward to the least specific ones, that is the document. Whereas event capturing is quite opposite, where the event starts at the least specific element and flows downward to the most specific one. What is the difference between undefined and null value in JavaScript? Undefined is a variable that has been declared but not yet assigned a value, whereas null is an assignment value representing no value. What is the difference between for each and map methods in JavaScript? For each executes a provided function once for each array element, but it doesn't return anything. Map creates a new array with the results of calling the provided function on every element in the calling array. What is the spread operator and how it is used? Basically, the spread operator will be allowing an iterable like an array or an string to be expanded in places where zero or more number of arguments or elements are expected. Here is an example for spread operator. What are template literals in JavaScript? Template literals are string literals, allowing the embedded functions as we have discussed. They are enclosed by backticks instead of singular double quotes. What is the difference between function declaration and function expression? Function declaration. A function is declared as a separate statement in the main code, just like the below example. Whereas in function example, a function created inside an expression or inside another syntax construct. It can be anonymous. This is the example for the function expression. So this was for today's JavaScript basic interview questions. Let's catch up again in some other interesting topic on a different concept. Till then, signing off. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.